Hi, everyone. I think they're all coming in slowly. We might leave it for another few seconds because people have been joining very recently, and then I'll explain what we're going to do for the next hour or so. But it's great of you all to turn up on a Tuesday evening and give up your time. Hopefully, you'll find it worthwhile. Okay, maybe we'll kick off. Are you happy to kick off with the speak? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Excellent. Okay. As I say to everybody, welcome to this hour or so where we're going to talk about pain self-management strategies, really. And we're lucky enough to have Pete Moore, who is the originator of the Pain Toolkit, which he's going to explain to us. My name is Mike Hurley. I'm the clinical director for Escape Pain. That I'm going to explain also to you a little bit later on. And the other person who's been involved in this is Fran Thompson from Orthopaedic Research UK, who are the charity that support Escape Pain, have been very generous in supporting Escape Pain. So what we're going to do over the next hour, I'm sure we probably don't have to convince you of the importance of self-management in pain. If you didn't think it was important, you wouldn't be here. But we're going to explain some of the ways that myself and Escape Pain and the team of Escape Pain and Pete, and I was going to say his team, but I think Pete is a one-man team basically. I
I'm not that
don't
bad
quite.
these days. I've got a couple of other guys that help out, Katie Napton and Dave.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, he's more or less a one-man show though, and very entertaining. So people explain to you about the Pain Toolkit. And we're going to both talk for roughly about, I suppose, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. There's plenty of time for you to ask questions at the end of both the presentations, but you can jot them down. And if you're brave enough, you can come on and ask a question yourself, or you can pop them in the chat box that Fran is monitoring, and she will ask them for you if you're not brave enough. But it'd be lovely to see and hear some of you. I should also say it's been recorded because we're probably putting it up on one of our websites later on and people can come in afterwards. What else do I need to ask people, Fran? I need to turn off your microphones. You all seem to be behaving yourself already, which is nice. It's just that you hear dogs barking in the background, you hear people arguing with their spouses and all the rest of it, and it's a bit distracting for all of us. So if you wouldn't mind turning off your microphones, and unlike me, remember to turn them on when you want to ask a question or talk. And as I say, there is lots of opportunity to ask questions. No question is too stupid or too basic. Feel free to ask whatever, and we'll try and help you out. And there'll be follow-ups, I think, hopefully afterwards. There can certainly be by email. We'll send you some information about our programs if you want. And we'd be delighted to hear from you in the future, and also what you think about the hour this evening. Pete, if I'm going to pass it over to you now, and you're going to introduce your program, the Pain Toolkit, to us.
Yeah, I'm going to share my slides. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to crack on. Is that okay with you, Mike and Fran? Sweet. Hey, listen. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you guys on a Tuesday night. I don't know about where you are. Obviously, I've been looking at where everybody is. I see a couple of people I know from social media. I see a lady from Sweden's already just joined us. But listen, the weather forecast here in Essex, mate, it's terrible. And there's a little bit of a hint of winter on its way. But anyway, it's nice. And it's nice to be with you tonight. And thanks very much, Mike and Fran, for inviting me along. Hey, listen, it's Pain Awareness Month, so in our calendar in the pain world, it's a very important time of the year for us. So I'm going to crack on. What I'm going to be doing, just a little bit about myself, and then we're going to get into the really juicy stuff, okay? Little quote there on my first slide, and this is, I always share this with people who are living with pain who contact me. if you don't know where you're going, it's unlikely you're going to get there. And that was me back in the day, you know. I was all over the shop. I was stuck in the medical model, etc. And I was pretty much, I didn't know where I was going. I had no battle plan. I didn't have no direction. But that was back in the 90s. I'm pleased to say that it's actually moved on quite a bit now in the, in recent years of self-management. So a little bit about myself. I live about 75 miles northeast of London, a little village called Mistley, which is on the River Stour there. There's a little picture at the bottom right-hand corner where the river is. That's Mistley Towers, what we're famous for. We're also famous for the witch finder general. Matthew Hopkins used to go around, testing people, women out if they was a witch or not. Anyway, he lived in the area as well. And that's me on the top left-hand corner there. Remember that picture with me and the bike, okay? Because I'm going to ask you a little question right at the end, okay? So who am I? I won't go for it. There's me memberships on education on the side there. But who am I? Well, like most people that you see on a daily basis, I used to be a patient with back pain. But I was lucky enough to get myself in a pain management program in 96, went to the input program. And that program gave me the skills and more importantly, the confidence to manage my back pain myself. But before then, like most people, really, I really struggled. Really, I was like as I said, pretty unstructured. Really, I was all over the shop. I was stuck in, I'm not going to keep going on about the medical model, but it wasn't doing me any favors, like, because well, back then self-management even wasn't a term used by people. It's mainly self-care and pain management. But when I started getting on the input program, so they give me the tools, the skills, but more importantly, it actually gave me the confidence to manage my pain myself. For the last 25 years or so now, I've been doing most of this stuff of educating, writing the Pain Toolkit, promoting supported self-management, not just here in the UK, but overseas as well, mainly in English speaking countries, but also there's different versions of Pain Toolkit in different languages. And I'm still continuing to write easy to understand information, etc. I've got share a little bit with you about that later on. And in recent years, been working with Teesside University, working on virtual reality. We can use virtual reality. So there is a virtual reality platform that people can use, which are about the Pain Toolkit, etc. And we run workshops there as well. And also, in the last couple of years, there's another one called AIP. All the links are actually on the website itself, so you can have a tour around the VR. You don't need a headset; you just need your phone or your laptop or computer or whatever. And AIP is it's open 365 days a year, 24/7. You can ask me questions, anything you like, and I'll reply back to you. Don't ask me for any money though. You ain't gonna get it. So let's get cracking here. So we're all using the term self-management, etc. But listen, this I do lot. I'm on social media quite a bit because to me it's about this is where people are. And I put this out on a poll on Twitter a few months ago. Do you think people with pain and long-term conditions do they actually understand the term supported self-management? Do they? You look at a 57. It's quite a high vote return on there of 57, and 50%, 58% of people said no, they don't understand it. Self-management or self-management really only started. It came out. I think it came over from the States when it was with the chronic disease self-management program that was used here in NHS England. And it's snowballed from there. And in recent years, I think the Canadians, they added a word supported, because a lot of people, when you said, oh, you need to do self-management, people thinking, oh, you've got to go off and do it yourself. They felt they're being abandoned. So I think the Canadians added that word supported. So now we use the term supported self-management. But what is self-management? It's the focus on helping people to do the things that's important to them. And that's what it's all about. It's getting people back in the driving seat, as I call it. Getting people back in the driving seat. Simple as that. There's a quote here from a lady, Sheila from over there in Essex. And that was, and that's what it's really about. It's because but a lot of people know what to do anyway. But what tends to happen is that when we go and see healthcare professionals, They take us out of the driver's seat, put us in the passenger seat, and obviously we're just cruising around, like become like health tourists. So what supportive self-management does, it actually gets people back in the driving seat. I mean, if you think about how you learned to drive a car, whereabouts did you sit? You sit in the driving seat, passenger seat, back seat, or whatever. Of course, you sat in the driving seat. Why did you have to sit in the driving seat? It's because that's where you had to learn, and that's all about when we're living with persistent pain. It's about taking people out of the passenger seat, get them back in the driving seat, so they feel they're back in control, get more confident, and they can get back on track, get on with their lives, etc. A couple of little, this is a lady from Teesside University, Sarah Gibson. She did some graphics for us a few years ago. It's about teamwork, and it's about we need to choose, who do we need in our team? I've got the old gremlin here, I call him the pain gremlin. And see, these all the dudes that I had in my team back in the day. And so I'm choosing him, but he's really fed up because I ain't choosing him. Well, who cares? And here's my team. This is what my team from back in the day can be. Your healthcare professional, big friends, family, even work colleagues. It's about especially when you're starting out to self-manage pain, you're going to need some sort of team around you. But the thing is that you choose who's in the team, who's in your team. And as people progress, it's like a football coach, I mean, it'll be just the start of the new football season. By the way, I'm a gooner, that's why everybody's dressed in red. And obviously we sold people and we brought new people in. And as I found out, as I started progressing and managing my pain, etc., that I needed other people in my team, so I had to let go of people to bring other new people in. So, and it's all how you progress, And I think, who's in my team these days? Just friends, other self-managers that I talk to. I was talking to Bronnie Thompson over there in New Zealand this morning on Messenger, etc. And I've got my buddy over there in Canada, Keith Meldrum. All good self-managers, Joe Belton, and a few dudes around here as well. But also a couple of healthcare bods that I connect with and work with. Supported self-management. These are just some of the headlines, really. It's all about setting goals, pacing it. I'm going to talk a bit more about these later on in a few of the slides. But these are the things that other self-managers tell me they like. This is what keeps them upright, keeps them back on track. It's about setting goals, pacing their daily activities, problem solving, meaningful movement, having a setback plan, being resilient. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the slides. Okay, so just hold on to that thought. This is a really good quote. I saw this last week actually, and I thought I've got to include it in this with you guys tonight because this is so important, especially being Pain Awareness Month. And they actually come from, guess where? Look, the International Association for Study of Pain. Now in recent years, I mean, we was never invited. People, us as self-managers, we were never involved in these sorts of events. But back in 2018, myself and I met Keith Meldrum, Joe Belton from Denver. We was all asked to do workshops there at actually a conference in Boston in the States. And even in recent years now, they're talking about self-management. When I joined as a member of IASP, I don't know, it's got to be about 10 years ago. I looked on there, I think, what the hell am I doing? I'm looking around the site for looking about self-management. There was nothing on it. But look, even these guys now are really getting into the self-management needs to be is an important part of managing pain. And last month I was at the Congress in Amsterdam, and I was shocked because I went over on the ferry because I live near the port, and I was saying to myself, what the hell am I going here? What am I doing? I'm going over this place because everything's going to be medical model and da da da. I was laying me monk thinking, oh, what the hell am I doing? What am I anyway? But you know what? From the get-go, people were coming up to me from the moment, even before I got to the Congress. People would approach me in the street. People, healthcare professionals, But even when I was leaving, people were saying, "Oh, is that you, Pete? Pete Moore? Yeah, I follow you on Twitter and stuff like." People from it's like end to end, people wanted to know more about self-management. So it's not just an add-on now, it's really a serious part of healthcare. But I like this quote: self-management is the first rung in the ladder of pain care, followed by primary care. So even before people hit the primary care organizations, self-management needs to be involved before then, and that's why I've always keep advocating that we need to start teaching supportive self-management within schools, etc. Because the kids will learn, the children will learn lifelong skills, so the chances are they may get a persistent pain problem, or they may get a long-term health condition, but if they've learned some supportive self-management skills, they'll be able to manage better. This is the pain cycle from the Pain Toolkit, and it's when I show this to people with pain, they go, "Oh my God!" It's like looking in a mirror. And the thing is that you see on the side there, these three questions there, because what we need is we need a hook, and these three things seem to be our traits. Like I always say to people, do you do more on good days, less on bad days? Are you an overachiever, do more than you have to? Are you a people pleaser and say no to people that ask you to do things? And they go, "God, Mike, how did you know that?" Because these seem to be our three main traits, and we got to stop doing that stuff. But we can only do that by learning some self-management skills. So that's the pain cycle, as you can see there. So we go to stop their pain, becoming less active, etc., etc. Quite negative, but I put this together, I don't know, a few years ago now. About how am I today? Because it's about how can we monitor it? How can people monitor their progress? So if you can see that, it's just like the all the things that are in the pain cycle from the previous slide. But hey, look, I'm becoming more active. I'm feeling more fit and active. I'm feeling I'm less weak and stiff. I'm feeling more confident. And the thing is, they can see the directions on the right hand side. It's about how they can see how well they're doing. But more importantly, because they're working with you guys as part of their team, you can see where they're not doing so well, and perhaps where you can come up with some suggestions or offer them support so they can get back on track, etc. I think Fran's going to send you the copy of the slides as well, so feel free to use them, photocopy them up, and you use them with your patients. When I show this to patients, I say this is useful, and they go, "Yo, blimey, yeah, it is." So I always get positive feedback from it. Okay, so these are your 5 key coaching skills, which you saw on another slide, earlier slide, and about 15 years ago, I started asking other people like myself, what are the key skills you found useful for getting you back on track? And these ones kept coming up time and time again. So it's about setting goals and action plans. And if you think back to the very first slide, if you don't know where you're going, it's unlikely you're going to get there. And when people start setting goals and action planning, so they set a goal and then how they're going to achieve that goal, it's getting them doing something. They're getting back in the driving seat. And even on when I was on the input program, they was getting us to set goals like a short-term goal, medium goal, long-term goal. I always say to people, to you guys, like the healthcare professionals, start off with fun goals, like get to do something that they really like to do. Perhaps meet a buddy for a coffee or something. I don't know, go walking with the dog, but it's got to be a fun thing, perhaps do some gardening or whatever. But they've got to set a goal, an action plan, how they're going to do that. And I'll go through that in more. If you ever want to come on one of the workshops I run or the academy, I'm going to talk about the academy a little briefly later on. But we go into it in a lot more detail. Pacing our daily activities, we're overdoers. We want to keep up with you guys, everybody else. So we tend to overdo it. We tend to use our pain or our symptoms as a guide of when to stop and start. So we start walking, we're walking, and all of a sudden our pain are kicking, thinking, "Oh, I've got to keep going, got to keep going." And what we're doing, we overdo it, and obviously the pain goes up, and then we know we get ourselves in problems. But pacing our daily activities, pacing is taking a break before you think you need to. I haven't got time to go through it in detail tonight, but if you say I can always if you want to come back to me on that one, I'm happy to go in a bit more detail. Like I do that on the workshops, and we do that in the academy. Problem solving. Hey, listen, everybody gets problems in life, but when you live with pain or a long-term condition, that problem seems to get it becomes bigger, it magnifies itself. So it's important that people we know how to problem solve. So if we get a hiccup, I call them one of life's speed bumps, is we know how to solve it. It's like what tends to it. It's like me if I was going to be driving down the A12 tonight, and all of a sudden I heard on the radio, oh, the road's blocked for some reason or other. What am I going to do? Just go and sit in the traffic for a few hours? No, I'm going to problem solve. How can I get round that? Where can I be? How can I get round it? Can I find another route? Okay, so it's all that. It's a really, I call it a problem solving recipe. Keeping active, moving, stretching, exercising. Now, I know in recent years in the physiotherapy land, they've moved away from this thing. Oh, you need to stretch and exercise. And they use the term meaningful movement. Now, I really dig that because to me, it's I found that if people choose the activity, the movement activity, if they choose what they want to do, it could be like yoga, tai chi, walking, bit of DIY gardening or whatever. As long as they're moving, that's what I found. I found when I went on a pain management program, and that exercise actually didn't mean more pain; it actually meant less pain. So to me, if we keep active, now you read your research that if you keep active, keep moving, do some stretching and yoga or whatever exercise, that will reduce the pain. But if we use the term meaningful movement, because when you say to someone, you need to start stretching exercise, you're thinking, bloody hell, where's my lycra? Or God, I can't go down the gym. It's all for people with all the muscly people, or it's for all the perfect figures and stuff like that. And personally, I do go down the gym myself because I like it. I really dig it, because it does keep all my pain levels down. But so meaningful movement, people use that term if you can. But you can, if you want to sort of interweave it with stretching exercise, and you can do. Hey, knowing what to do if something goes wrong. Remember, we're overachievers. We want to try and keep up with everybody else, etc. So chances are we're going to overdo it, and our pain level is going to go up. So when we have a setback, what we need to do is have a plan. So how can I get back in a driving seat as soon as possible? So it's having a plan to do that. Just briefly, now the reason why I said earlier on, I work with another physiotherapist called Katie Napton, and I'm not sure if Katie's on there. Caroline Uber's on the line tonight. I know she registered for it, but Caroline was kind enough to review the online course. The only reason we started this is because for the last I wore my drum out because I kept banging the drum. I was trying to get the schools, medical schools, to include supportive self-management. We're in the curriculum. But they were just saying that I wasn't pushing back on me, but they were really saying we haven't got the time, we haven't got the room to include this stuff, So I think only from pure frustration, really. A couple of years ago, myself and Katie Napton, we thought, well, let's start up do an online course. So it's based around the Pain Toolkit, those 5 key skills. You can see all the modules there, etc. It's about 6 hours of learning. If there's a group of you doing that's it's a £90 course. It's not just a course either. You're joining a community because we call it the Pain Toolkit community that's embedded in the platform there as well. So we're doing I think next month we're doing our going to everybody that's registered so far. We're going to do a live video with them, stuff like that. Because listen, it's not about just doing a course and that's it, off you go, thanks very much, etc. We want to support you guys, and to us, it's about how can we do that on an ongoing basis. But if there's a group of you, we can sort out a discount, etc. As long as we get a group of you involved. And a little bit of promo here. I sort of keep going about my buddy over there, Keith Meldrum. We got frustrated a couple of years ago because because self-management wasn't being, used it. Well, we're getting a bit more invited to events, but it was not quite on an equal footing just yet. So what we our third one's going to be, this will be our third one that we're doing another world conference in February, but this one is there for European, because I was getting in the neck from people from the Europe, people in the UK and Europeans. I don't want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to take part. But the thing is, these supported self-management conferences, we're trying to role model as well to pain organisations, because you can see that we've got 6 speakers. There's 3 self-managers and 3 healthcare professionals. And so this is the next one we're doing. It's next month on the 5th, about 3 hours long. And so you've got a list of the speakers. If you want more information about that, just drop me a line and I'll be happy to send you the info. So I'm coming at the end now, so I'm summing up. So from a pain self-manager's point of view, remember I said to you about the bike. So when I asked you a question, you come up with the answers in the chat bit, I'll be really grateful. So this is me here, this is my bike, and see, I'm on my little, I want to get down to this place here because I want to see my buddies down here in the cafe, get another cappuccino down here. But look, the old pain gremlin, he said, hey, you ain't going down there, brother. I want you to turn left there. I want you going to go over there. But look at it. Look, it's all raining, thunderstorms, lightning. The road looks a bit dopey and stuff like that. Now, what do I do? Based on all the information I've told you about tonight, about supported self-management, how do I get round this pain gremlin? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Can you give me some answers in the chat? How do I get round the pain gremlin? Anybody in the chat? Hello, like a couple of here, back Katie from Guernsey. Thank you, Katie. Katie, what do you think I need to be doing? I lost you. I think you're a bit shy, I don't. Everybody's shy. What do you think there? Would you? Don't get round him. You have a bike, run him over. Oh yeah, I like my bike. It might cause a bit of damage. Pacing, yeah, could do a bit of pacing. Yeah, some good ones. Yeah, could pace myself. Can't drive round. This is all a bit sandy. I don't want to get my bike dirty. Any other work with the pain and have a setback plan? Well, thanks for your. I'm going to give you the answer. Okay, so quite simple. I take him with me, and I'm still taking him around with me today. I still live with pain today, and as I even become an older person, um, I've still got more pain problems now than I had back then. But that's the thing I liked about. That's why I'm always grateful to the guys at the input program. Is because all the skills that they showed me on the program were life skills, and there were things that I could transfer as life went along. So in say recent, so then when I think I hit 50, I've got to start getting arthritic joints and whatnot. In recent years, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer, so I've got to get a few weird pains around me, bits and bobs and stuff like that from time to time. But all those skills I learned back in '96, as I say, are all then transferable. So it's enabled me to live life to the full. So I'm riding my bike, still riding my bike, traveling, being able to travel and stuff like that. That was all before '96. That I could never ever do that. But before I forget as well, since '97, I've not had to take any pain medication at all. But all because of learning how to manage my pain from the input program. And that's the power of self-management. It gets people back on track, it get on with their lives, etc. And so there we go. So there's my contact details. You can see on. I'm refusing to call it X. I still like calling it Twitter. So I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads now. There's and also LinkedIn. And yeah, just come along and say hi. Say, got any questions at all after tonight? You know where I am. Just drop me a line. Have a look around the website. Lots of free information on there about self-management, how you can support your patients more, etc. So there you go, guys. I'll and then back over to you now, Fran.
Brilliant. Lovely, Pete. Thank you very much. That was a fantastic view of your pain toolkit. And I must admit, it runs very nicely into escape pain. So I'll kind of leap into escape pain, and you can come back and ask questions of Pete at the end if you don't mind, and certainly, still put them in the chat. Escape pain, in many ways, was kind of sprang out of input. Ironically, the problem we had with input was it's a very intensive course, and it can only get to a very few people, really. And there are millions of people we know out there who are suffering from persistent pain, whether it's back pain, knee pain, whatever pain. And escape pain was developed to try and become, in some ways, and maybe it's a bit nasty to call our program this, but it's almost a poor man's pain program. It stands for enabling self-management and coping with arthritic pain using exercise. And it does what it says on the tin, basically. It teaches people, like Pete's Pain Toolkit, to actually see how they can help themselves. And it involves people coming up twice a week in groups of about 10 people who work together, and each of the sessions that they come up to, they have education and advice, very much following a curriculum very similar to the Pain Toolkit. We cover the same kind of themes in each of those sessions. But we also enhance it with getting them to go through a progressive, individualized and challenging exercise regimen. And the reason we do that is because people are very nervous about exercising and movement when they've had pain, because it often exacerbates the pain. So in a controlled way, we help them realize that what they actually are frightened of can actually be their friend. And if they start to move, it's a self-management strategy that they can implement in their everyday lives to help themselves. As they move through our 6-week 10-session or 12-session program, it starts to challenge people's health beliefs about pain, about the role of exercise and movement in pain. It starts to change their behavior. In particular, we encourage people to become more physically active. And in doing so, they learn that they can control their symptoms and also the control of the course of their condition. It's doing what Pete was doing with his Pain Toolkit. It's putting people back in the driving seat. And I love that analogy with driving, actually, Pete. We get people to learn how they can take control of their lives again. Pain is no longer controlling them. They are controlling the pain. Next slide, please, Fran. You're in the control box. We always like to measure things. It partly comes from my academic background, but we want to know that what we are doing is helping people. So we have measured people's pain, function, and quality of life in clinical departments, but also more recently, because again, the challenge is how do we help the millions of people out there? We can't funnel everybody in through the health systems. We've delivered the escape pain program in leisure and community centres, led this time not by physios or clinicians, but by exercise professionals. And we have found, and you can see from this graph here, that this program can be as effective, whether it's delivered in clinical settings, in leisure and community settings, whether it's by clinicians or by exercise professionals. Next slide, Fran. And it also helps their function of their life of people with hip pain. We concentrated initially on people with knee pain for various reasons I won't go into, but actually it works for hips as well. Next slide, Fran. And one of the other things that people say, this doesn't look very impressive because the kind of improvements don't look very big, but actually it's a statistically significant and clinically significant improvement in people's well-being and function. And very often what people are coming back telling us is not just that they've got reduced pain, which they have, and improved function, but it's the carryover into their everyday lives where they are suddenly realizing they can start to live their lives the way they used to, the way they want to. And that actually really starts to perk them up. And one of the things that we find is that people become back much chirpier, they're more self-confident, they're more optimistic about their future. And the other thing that we can measure is people's disability, very simply in a 30-second sit to stand. And again, after going through escape pain, we can show that we are decreasing people's disability, so giving back their ability to live their lives the way they want to again. Next slide, Fran. We, as I said earlier on, believe that physical activity is very important. Again, like Pete was saying, we see escape pain as not the end product here, but actually really just the starter motor to getting people into understanding how they can help themselves with activity. And in a cohort of patients that have been through the program, we measured their activity or inactivity at the start and then follow them from 12 months after the course, after the program. And you can see that initially most people said that they did less than 30 minutes per week. After they'd been through the program, we turned this on their head. Most people were now active, doing more than 60 minutes per week, and people were less people were inactive. And you can maintain that without any input from escape pain for 12 months afterwards. So we were achieving our ability, our change in people's health beliefs, and that was the carryover into their behaviors of being more physically active, and so having less pain, hopefully, for up to 12 months after the end of the program. Next slide, Fran, please. We've recently spread out into the area of back pain. I say recently is about 3 or 4 years now. This was a relatively large pilot that we did a few years ago. And again, we showed that actually people are willing to come on the program. They are willing to stay on the program because 75% of participants complete 75% of the program. And there were significant improvements in their numbers of days that they were active, their sit to stand, and so their ability and disability, and what's called the MSKHQ, which is a outcome which is developed to look at people generically. So it measures people's function, their quality of life, their pain, their ability to work. We are getting significant improvements in those with a relatively brief 6-week program that teaches people what their pain is, how they can help themselves, and how, in particular, physical activity and exercise can help themselves. Next slide, Fran. The feedback from participants keeps us going because it is so positive, and we use it to persuade other people to run the course and to come onto it. As I said, if you get the feedback from people, and on our website there is a huge amount of data from people who are on the course and have run the course. And they say things, as I said, that, you know, they have less pain, they feel better about themselves, they can function better. They can do simple things that it really improves our quality of life. They can sleep better, get on and off the toilet better. They can put their shoes and socks on. They can play with their grandchildren. All these things start to add up to their quality of life. And so the carryover is to the confidence that they have in themselves, and that you can actually feel that they're going to continue the program and the exercises and start to deploy the information that we give them in their lives from now on, which is exactly what we want them to do, really. Next slide, Fran. You can go on our website. All our research is up there. It's out in the real world anyway, and has been for many years. But it shows that this is an evidence-based program up there, that you are, you know, people are getting a great deal of benefit from. Not just benefit, the health systems have huge, significant savings as well. Next slide, Fran. It's been endorsed by lots of national and international organisations. You can see them up there. You can have the slides. Anybody who wants to afterwards can. And we're grateful for all the people that have partnered with us and supported over the years. Next slide. As we escape pain over the past 12 years or so, we started from one site in Sevenoaks in Kent, who were running it fairly badly, I would have to say, and they would as well. So that now it's across the United Kingdom. 300 plus sites running it, over 27,000 people have been through it. We estimate healthcare savings over 2.5 years following the programme of about £41 million. We've delivered it to, or rather we've trained over 2,000 people to deliver the programme. And there are also digital products that people can use. We have an app, we have a website app, and we have a data portal where people can come do the program online and enter their own data so that we can follow it. We can make sure that they are improving. Next slide, Fran. And if you want to, we can certainly visit our website, but we can certainly send you some infographics to help you persuade your commissioners, your managers, and other people maybe to come on Escape Pain. Simple little infographics that hopefully kind of crystallize what Escape Pain is about and the benefits that you might find from it. And next one, we also want to work with you. We have a funding application toolkit. If people come to us, we don't just tell them, give them information. We actually will work with them to start to see what they need to do to implement the program. And after they have implemented the program, we always want to stay close to them and say, how are you getting on with it? What sort of problems have you had? How can we help you? And there's a great amount of shared learning going on in educational events and various other bits and pieces that we're going. So we like to keep people who are delivering the program close to us. So if you are, please contact us afterwards and we'll give you as much information as we want and try and support you as you implement the program. And is there a last slide, Fran? There we are. Like you, I'm unfortunately, Pete, I wasn't brave enough to take Elon Musk on, so I kind of do call it X, but I always call it Twitter and I always call them tweets. But maybe I'll link up with you and we'll take on Elon Musk and just continue to call it Twitter, mate. You know, it's much better than X, isn't it? Let's face it. Now I'm going to sort of throw it open to you. So we want people to be brave maybe and put their hand up and say, ask questions, or Fran, if there is any questions there in the chat box that you can put to us, we'd be very happy, I'm sure, to answer as many as we can or try.
Yeah, I'm just looking now.
Anybody want to come on and ask a question? Just unmute yourself and start shouting.
Hi, Mike. I'm Annie. I'm a physiotherapist in the UK.
Hi.
I was actually wondering, we get so many patients with all sorts of joint pains, and how do you advise them to enter long-term programs, especially since you know that their pain can be chronic and we can't give them an exact deadline?
Yeah, and if I'm understanding you right, I mean, we obviously would say people come onto our programs. Escape Pain is very much for people with hip, knee, and/or back pain. So it's kind of limited to those joints, if you like. But those are a huge population of patients out there. I mean, something like probably 17, 18 million people in the UK. So we encourage them to come onto programs. Our problem is getting enough people to start delivering the programs to people. But as I say, the idea is really that they start to understand and become less afraid of their pain and start to actually learn the skills of learning self-management so that they can take it forward. What we don't want to create is to create a whole, kind of population of people who are reliant on us. It's very much, sort of as pizzas as well. You're giving them the skills to self-manage their pain. You're not going to get rid of it. That's the first thing we say on day one of our program. When you finish this course in 6 weeks' time, you will probably still suffer pain, but you'll be able to control it better, live with it better, and function better within your pain.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Annie. Karen, did you unmute yourself and even show yourself on camera? There you are. Well done.
I did, and I got pipped to the post. Hello, thank you very much. That's really interesting, really useful, and really important stuff. And Pete, I said in my little thing, I'm sorry I was cheeky about saying run over the gremlin. Part of my role is to teach the next lot of health psychologists. I train students, and I used to work in pain management. Seems like a million years ago. So I do make sure it's something that we talk about. But it'd be really good to know what you think I need to make sure these guys that I'm training take forward as they leave me and go out there and hopefully do some good. So what are the core things I need to make sure I include?
Is that for me, Karen?
Yeah.
Well, it's for both of you because you're both very wise.
Pete, you can jump in. I don't know about that. Pete, you can jump in first as you're the wise one.
If I always I think one of the healthcare professionals, I think they need to listen more.
Yeah.
And I always say, I say, look, we got 2 of these, and we got 1 of those, and it sort of gives it away a little bit that we need to learn to listen and listen to learn. So I think a lot of I'm saying that because of the emails that I get from people living with pain, not just here in the UK, but from other places as well around the world. And I don't feel they're being listened to. Like, listen, I know there's a time factor involved. I don't know what it is in a lot, but I think in the UK we get 10 minutes with a GP if we're lucky, or we could book a double appointment and stuff like that. I think one of the problems that we have, it's the only reason why I'm talking about teaching self-management in schools, because it's about how you prepare for a healthcare professional appointment, etc. But that one of the things I don't feel they're being listened to, but there again, also, and I think there's a term called funneling. Am I right, Karen? Where you're listening, but because of the time frame that you have to funnel that information down into, so it stays focused. Because I know we can, and I can, we can sort of jump all over the shop and whatnot. So, but I think that was one of the things that I get it told on a regular basis, that people don't feel they're being listened to, because and I think, especially I'm guessing with a GP, I mean, they're only really geared up for either signposting or prescribing sort of thing, but I do know there are GPs. I mean, the 2 guys are Ollie Hart and Tim Williams up in Sheffield. I met him years ago at a pain conference, BPS conference. It's in Surrey. And that's why I thought they were really odd, because they were GPs, but they're really interested in pain and etc. But they do, and what I know, especially with Tim Williams, he talks about, there's a video of him on YouTube where he goes through how he takes we'll ask the patient, where they are now, but then he says, okay, thanks for doing that. Right, we're now going to move on, and then there's some subsequent appointments that I have with him or with the GP. Is that they're starting learning self-management stuff, etc. So there is, when healthcare professionals say there isn't time in these time-based appointments, it is, but I think that it is possible, but it's having that knowledge and skills to do that, like, you know, so you can listen to where people are, where, you know, they're a little bit of their journey, but then because one thing we feel we got to keep repeating it all the time, you know. And so it's about saying thanks very much for that, Fred or Mary. Or so the next time, what I want to do, I want you to give them a little bit of homework, right? You want to get moving. What do you like doing? Perhaps you're interested in yoga. Perhaps your homework can be find yourself at a yoga class or something that suits you, you know. So it's about start setting things in motion from the get-go, because otherwise, you know, as I see in people, just wander, as I did, wandering around the system, like I become health service. Mike.
I think in terms of escape pain, Karen, I think your psychology students would be very interested to see where ours came from, because it was very much embedded in the psychological kind of theories that are out there. Bandura, self-efficacy, all those kind of ones. I mean, you know, acceptance. And if you want to contact me, we'll send you a paper that a recent PhD student did, where we looked at all the things that we covered in our education elements, and we mapped them back to Susan Mikshi's behavioural change wheel, and you know that the kind of the basis there, the psychological basis there, is kind of, you can map it onto the escape pain and the pain toolkits content. And we'd done that before Susan Mishi came. So, you know, all these things have kind of sprung up, and now, you know, theories have been laid on them. And we found out that, you know, accidentally we're psychologists rather than physiotherapists, which is lovely. But you know, it is very interesting, pain and the whole psychology of it. And while we're just telling people things and doing exercises, actually what's going on in people's heads and how they're recalibrating all their pain and what they can do with themselves is completely fascinating in actual fact. So I think your students would be quite fascinated by it. Maybe we can get some PhD students coming from you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
There's another question from Joanna.
Oh yeah. Can I look at that? Oh, Joanna, thanks very much for that. It's a really good question. And it's funny enough you mentioned it, because I think you say there in your question about where the parents can be overprotective. I think most parents are overprotective, or they're protective of their children, etc. But the interesting thing is that there are really good organisations now. There's I'm trying to think of the lady's name. She's a Canadian lady, but in Canada they got a good website called Kids with Pain. We've also got down in Bath the pain management guys down there. They do a pain management program for younger people. And just recently, Chronic Pain Australia, they've just started up a Facebook page for children and younger people living with pain. It's only, I think that site's only a couple of weeks old, and they sent me an invitation because I'm doing some work with Chronic Pain Australia. So there are things around, but it can be tricky. But I did adapt a Pain Toolkit some years ago. Not so much for younger people, really. I sort of like teen in secondary school, something like that, called My Pain Toolkit. If you drop me a line, is it Karen? Is it?
Joanna.
Yeah, Karen. No, it's not Karen. Sorry, Joanna. Yeah. Drop me a line. I'll send you a PDF of it if you like, if that's useful. And or just drop me a line via the website or my email that was on earlier. And I'll send you the details I've been talking about. I think the lady, Christine Chambers, I think she's a psychologist in Canada, and the website's called Kids with Pain. But it's quite a big, it's a massive movement. I know Christine was over at the British Pain Society Congress a couple of years ago where she was presented about it. So it's it's becoming big. Mike, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, we don't really deal with children in pain, so maybe I can't sort of contribute directly to that. But certainly one of the things that there are partners, you know, and spouses who are overprotective towards people, and and sometimes undermine what you tell them on a escape pain course. Get up, get active, get going, and they go home and they're sort of told to sit down and do nothing, because as soon as some of us in pain get up and get active, we start moaning and they have to put up with us. But what they've done in some places is get the spouse, partners, family in and watch them going through the program. And actually, they are very surprised sometimes with what they see, their partner doing in the programs. And it's not just about one person; it's about their whole life. So if they can carry it over outside, then you're on a win-win, really, and that reinforces everything that we are asking them to do in the program. Anybody else got a question? Do you know, Fran?
No other questions, just some sharing of resources, which I'll be sure to put in the follow-up email.
Good. Okay, well, you're finishing 3 minutes early then, if you like. You've got 3 minutes back in your lives to you all. Thank you for coming on and sharing at the hour. Pete, thank you very much for coming on and telling us about Pain Toolkit. And I'm sure people will get the slides and they'll contact you directly for more information. And thanks, Fran and OR UK, Orthopaedic Research UK, for organising it tonight. I hope you found it useful. Maybe not entertaining, I suppose, but useful at least. Contact us here at Escape Pain if you want to know about the programme, and we can share things with you. We'd be very happy to hear from you, and look forward to maybe seeing some of you in the future on some Escape Pain courses and some Pain Toolkit courses.
Thanks for everybody for joining us tonight, and thanks Mike and Fran again for organising Pain Awareness Month, guys. Get involved. Hey, don't forget to have a bit of fun as well, okay?